Hello and good morning. Welcome again. Welcome to class number 900. A ver si recuerdo. 918? 18? Yeah. Welcome to class number 918. And we're going to continue with two paragraphs. I started one yesterday. Make sure. Make sure is asegúrate. Make sure. Asegúrate que las sillas están en buenas condiciones. Make sure the chairs are in good condition. Me llamó la atención al venir aquí y empezar a traducir cosas en buenas condiciones, porque en plural. Claro, en inglés en buena condición. Why? In good conditions? Conditions, en English, con la S es como la reglamentación, las condiciones de un contrato. Estas condiciones, eso sí, these conditions. But this table and this chair is in good, I hope, is in good condition. Yeah, but here they say, make sure. Marta, asegúrate. Make sure the chairs, make sure all the chairs are in good condition. In good condition. Siempre en singular, ojo. It was a bit embarrassing. Fue un poco violento el otro día, o embarazoso. It was a bit embarrassing the last time when two people almost hurt themselves because of defective chairs. Yeah. What? They didn't hurt themselves. No se hicieron daño, pero casi. They almost hurt themselves. Make sure all the chairs are in good condition. It was a bit embarrassing. It was a little embarrassing. It was a bit embarrassing. It was a little bit, todo junto si quieres, it was a little bit embarrassing the last time, no? Yeah, the last time, the last time when two people almost hurt themselves because of defective chairs. Defectivos. Sillas defectivas, decimos en inglés, no defectuosas. So, make sure. Eso de make sure, asegúrate, make sure. Que estoy seguro, I'm sure. Well, make sure a second time. Okay, make sure all the chairs are in good condition. It was a bit embarrassing the last time when two people almost hurt themselves. They almost hurt themselves because of defective chairs. I almost hurt myself. You almost hurt yourself. She almost hurt herself. He almost hurt himself. We almost hurt ourselves. And they almost hurt themselves. L-V-E-S al final. Themselves, ourselves. All right. One more, my friend. Let's see. Paragraph number 295. No pinta. Paragraph 295. In the middle of page 37. All right. When they get here, take them to meeting room 3. It's not the biggest, but I think it's big enough for the group. We're expecting around 20 people. All right. It's a very easy paragraph. When they get here, take them to meeting room 3. So there are several meeting rooms. Meeting room 1, meeting room 2, meeting room 3, meeting room 4, etc., etc. Yes. Aquí a veces se dicen boxes. Sí, están en boxes. You know, in race car, entrar in boxes. But they use it, for example, if you go to visit the purchasing manager of, Alcampo, Carrefour, or, the big hypermarkets, they receive a lot of suppliers, proveedores. They receive a lot of suppliers. And they have many meeting rooms. And these meeting rooms have a number, and they call it in boxes. Box número 3, the boxes. All right, so, me pica la nariz otra vez. Okay, so, meeting room 3. In this case, meeting room 3. When they get here, el verbo to get es el verbo usado el 98% para llegar, cuando llegan aquí. When they get here, take them, llévalos. Take them to meeting room 3. It's not the biggest, but I think it's big enough for the group. We're expecting around 20 people. So in the meeting room number 3, the capacity is for 25 people. So we're expecting 20. So meeting room 3 is big enough. There's plenty of room. There are 25 chairs, and we expect 25 people, plus myself and Marta. That's 22 in all. So, Marta, when they get here, cuando llegan aquí, llévales. When they get here, take them to meeting room 3, or meeting room number 3. Me gusta más insertar number. It's not the biggest. No es el más grande. No es la más grande, es una sala. It's not the biggest, but I think it's big enough. But I, but I think it's big enough for the group. We're expecting around 20 people. We're expecting, estamos esperando. We're expecting around 20 people. Okay, that's it for our paragraphs for today. And now grammar. The grammar. What kind of grammar am I going to do today? Simple past. Yeah, the simple past. I was born in a big city, relatively big city. I was born in Houston, Texas. Yeah. I was born in Houston. And I grew up in Houston to age 9. You know the story already. Yes. I grew up in Houston. Houston, at that time, when I was born, the population of Houston was around three quarters of a million people. 750,000, 750,000. And by the time I left, at the age of 9, probably the population was 1 million, because Houston is a fast-growing city. But I lived there for 9 years. Here you have a picture of me, Marta. Here you have a picture of me when I was 3 years old, I believe. 2.5 or 3 years old. Yes. I'm wearing a bow tie. Una pajarita. You remember the picture? I'm wearing a bow tie and looking at the cameraman, okay, at the photographer. And I'm sure my mother, I wonder how long it took my mother to put that bow tie on me, because I was very restless. And my mother always called me a wild Indian, Indio salvaje, a wild Indian. So to get me to dress nice, to put on a bow tie, and to sit still for the photographer, probably fue una hazaña. It was a feat of valor on the part of my mother. And this photograph, it's interesting. About 15 years ago, ha llovido un poco desde entonces, hace 15 años. About 15 years ago, I received a message or a telephone call from La Revista del Taxi. Because in Madrid, in this city, if you're in a taxi, behind the passenger seat in the La Solapa, I can't remember, I'm losing my English, in the lapel behind the seat, you have magazines, and one is the taxi magazine, the official Revista del Taxi. All right. They contacted me and they wanted to write an article about me and Vaughan Radio, La Radio, the Vaughan Radio. And so I said, no problem. And so I was interviewed. The founder and the owner of La Revista del Taxi came to my office and interviewed me. Then I received an email from people working in his office asking me for photographs. And so I found 2 or 3 or 4 photographs of me, and as a joke, como broma, I included the photograph of me when I was 3 years old. And they wrote back and said, you surprised us so much, and we liked it so much, we're going to put that photograph on the cover. So this photograph was on the cover. For 1 month, my photograph was on the cover of the Taxi magazine. All right, so that was when I was 3 years old. And when I was 3 years old, I spent my time at home. All right. Well, I wasn't 3, impossible. I was 3.5 or 2.5. Because for 8 months or 9 months, the family, we lived in New York City, in the borough of Queens. My father was on a training course in New York for New York Life Insurance Company. And I'm sure that this photograph was not in New York. Maybe. Maybe it was in New York City. Maybe this photograph was taken in New York City. But then if it was in Houston, I was 2.5 years old or 3.5 years old. How old do I look? How old do I look, Marta? 2.5 or 3.5? I don't know. But in any case, my poor mother, to control me. But you see, my parents left me alone. I spent a lot of time alone. And I enjoyed being alone, playing with the toys, plastilina or something, always. I was always busy. I was never bored. My sister was bored, and she needed my parents to be playmates. I didn't need playmates. Es que no me hacen caso, entonces yo aprendí a estar solo y jugar solo. Yeah, and so that was it. And then I started school when I was 5. When I was 5 years old, I started school. Longfellow. Fellow is tipo, persona, individuo, a fellow, a guy. He's a nice guy. Es un tipo majo. He's a nice guy. He's a nice fellow. Fellow. Fellow students, compañeros estudiantes, también como compañero, fellow. So tipo largo. Longfellow was a famous American poet. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. All right. And I went to Longfellow Elementary School, and I started when I was 5 years and 2 months old. 5 years and 2 months old. And I started, and I did kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. So I spent 4 years. When I was 5, I started when I was 6, 7, and I was 8. So I started 3rd grade when I was 8. And I started in January. It was the calendar year, not the academic year. And I turned 9 in November. Okay. Now this picture is my 3rd grade class. And the kid in the middle, standing between, the kid in the middle is me when I was 9 years old. About 1 month later, my family moved from Houston to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, the one on my, let's see. Yeah, the boy on my right, on your left, the boy on my right is Malin Kit. Le tengo aquí. Malin Kit. All right, Malin Kit. K-I-T, Malin Kit. Jewish boy. A Jewish boy. And he was probably my best friend. Yeah, we spent a lot of time together. We spent time at his house. He came to my house, or we went to a roller skating rink, una pista de patinaje sobre ruedas. We went to a roller skating rink behind his house. I mean, from his house, you go through a fence and back to and there was a roller skating rink 100 meters, 200 meters from his house. I became a very good roller skater. You see, I was the best roller skater in that skating rink for my age group. And we had races, carreras. It was a lot of fun. And the one on my left is Nicky Malavas, escrito Malavis, Nicky Malavas. And he was Greek, o sea, sangre 100% griega, yeah, Greek. But he was not Jewish, he was ortodoxo, o sea, de cristiano ortodoxo, okay? He's Greek Orthodox. And Nicky and Nicky always walked home together because we walked home after school and I turned on Cloverdale Street. He continued to Sun Valley, Valle del Sol. He continued to Sun Valley Street. But we walked together until I turned on my street. And we were silly. Éramos más tontos. We were silly. And I remember I was talking to Nicky. I said, you know, maybe we need imagine we have a teacher whose name is Mrs. Truck, la señorita camión, Mrs. Truck. And Nicky started laughing, Mrs. Truck, Mrs. Truck. And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. But it was, you know, the Mrs. Truck. But in any case, but I remember these things. And Nicky Malavas still lives in Houston. He still lives in the same house on Sun Valley Street in Houston, Texas. And Malin Kit, of course, I lost contact with Nicky and with Malin, escrito Malon, como melón, pero con A, Malin. I lost contact in 1960, Christmas 1960. And I never made contact with Nicky again. I wrote on LinkedIn, but he didn't write back. And Malin became a doctor. Nicky became a doctor en doctorado in history, history. Yeah, and he became an MD, a physician, a medical doctor. But I made contact with him. Yeah. In 2018, 6 years ago, I was in Houston. And I looked him up, and there was a street that I thought, and so I drove to that part of Houston, and there was a strange house, beautiful neighborhood, beautiful homes, and one small, strange house. I said, well, it's strange, you know, is that his house? And there was a man out in his yard, in su césped, su jardín, and I went over, and I said, is there a fellow in that house by the name of Malin Kit? And he said, yes, Malin. I said, do you say Malin or Malin? He said, I don't know. He lives in that house. That's a strange house. I said, yeah, Malin's a strange person. Okay. So I went to the house. I knocked on the door, but there was another door. And which door? Well, I didn't know which door, but I knocked on this one and he opened the other. And I went, I said, are you Malin Kit? I said, yes. My name is Richard Vaughan, but you may remember me as Ricky Vaughan. And he looked at me. Me da la impresión que es un ermitaño este hombre ahora. He's a hermit, a recluse. Recluso en español significa preso, prisionero, pero recluse es uno retirado del mundo del ruido. Se recluye, okay, a recluse. But he said, tell me more. I said, yeah, we were friends in second grade and third grade. Segundo y tercero de primaria, second and third grade. I said, don't remember. Yeah, and you don't remember. He said, and finally he said, did you have a bike? Yeah. I said, yeah, I remember. You were always on your bicycle. I was always on my bicycle. And I said, and you had a brother, and an asp fell on his shirt when we were playing. An asp es una palabra which means como una oruga, pero sin pelos, esos orugas. And we were playing, and a tree in the front yard fell on his shirt, and we were playing, and we said, Gordy. His name was Gordon, but we call him Gordy. Gordy. Gordy, there's an asp on your shirt. And he took off his shirt. And Malin Kit, I said, I remember that. Now I remember you. And so he got in the car, and we went and had something to eat together and reminisced. To reminisce. Es que es rememorar y rememorando. We were reminiscing especially about Renee Shapiro. Renee Shapiro, Renee, mujer, doble E al final, Renee Shapiro, a Jewish girl. Es que la mitad de la clase era judía. That neighborhood was a Jewish neighborhood. And so my best friends usually were Jewish. And Renee Shapiro was the most popular girl in the class. And he told me she continued the same the rest of primary school, secondary school, etc., Renee Shapiro. And so there you have me when I was 9 years old. 10 years later, 11 years later, I came to Spain as a student. And I remember a person took a photograph of me here. Sarah Ashlock, se llama Sara, con H al final. Sarah Ashlock took a picture of me in black and white, and she gave it to me. And that's this one. All right, so you can see me when I was my first year in Spain. I was 20 or 21. I came to Spain in August 1972. In August 1972, I was 20. In August 1972. Yes. The following November, 3 months later, I turned 21. And so I was with Sarah. We traveled together, hitchhiking in the fall, not in the spring, in the fall of 1972. And so I turned 21 on November 9th. So, and we traveled before November 9th, and we traveled after November 9th. But in the following year, no. Because she went back to the United States. All right, in the Christmas time. But I stayed here. So this picture was taken either when I was still 20, or I had just turned 22. And so that was the type of, parezco campechano, cercano, Yeah, so I was a nice guy. All right. Happy-go-lucky. Happy-go-lucky, happy-go-lucky. Happy como feliz, guión, go, suertudo. Feliz va suertudo. Feliz va afortunado. Happy-go-lucky. Hi. And so, and that was good in Spain because people noticed a smile. A smile. And I remember about 1 year ago, I gave a talk, probably about entrepreneurship, emprendimiento, or about liderazgo, leadership. And at the end, a person asked me a question, and he asked me, what do you consider the most critical element for success? Wow, la clave del éxito, el elemento más crítico para el éxito. And I said, a sincere smile. Una sonrisa sincera is the most critical element. And it's true. A corto no, pero a largo sí. In the long run, a sincere smile, and sincerity in general, of course, wins people's hearts, and they help you become successful in life. Hundreds of people have helped me in my life. Now, why? Why have they helped me? They've helped me because they wanted to help me, because they enjoyed helping me. So, basically I did it myself. Lo he hecho sin ayuda de nadie. Lo he hecho yo solo. True and not true. People have helped me, but I emanated positive and interesting, stimulating vibrations around me, and so people enjoyed helping me. Most people. Some people are very strange. Los resentidos no. Okay, but except for these people y los soberbios, están por encima de nosotros. All right, the proud and the cynical, no, but all the rest, yes. And so a sincere smile opens doors, and for me, it's the most important element in success in the long run, is being sincere, being honest, smiling, and winning friends and influencing people. And with that, I've run out of time again. The time is up, but it's been fun today. I'll see you tomorrow.